Hi, I'm author TNT. You can call me Trisha, and today I wanted to talk to you about character creation and how I as an author do character creation. Today I am parked by a lake. I was watching the sunrise because stores don't really open in rural Montana until late, so I left early. But if you hear a whole lot of birds going off, a whole lot of what are they, geese going off, it's just because they're noisy. But anyway, before I parked at the lake, I'll show you what I got. I got donuts, yeah. I got donuts, love them. I'm a very food motivated person, kind of like dogs. That was weird to say, but I used to be a dog walker, house sitter, cat sitter, chicken feeder person. But anyway, there was these two dogs that I used to walk like every other day, and one was very food motivated, and the other one, her sister, was very not food motivated, and they were both cattle dogs. And they were both really intelligent, just, could pick up anything very quickly. But the food motivated one, I'd be like, sit or down or, stuff like that. And the food motivated one, as soon as she saw that I had a treat, she would immediately go down. I didn't have to say anything because she knew that meant food. And I was like, okay, that's that's how I am. But her sister, the older one, you could give her food, you could put food in front of her, and she was such a lady. She would first of all, she would test you to see if, I know this has nothing to do with writing, but I'm talking about dogs, so it's okay. But she'd test you to see if you were going to give her her treat anyway. But if you didn't, she'd be like, oh, fine, and finally get down. But then she would nibble at it. But yeah, so me and the young cattle dog, we were just shoving food in our faces, but the older one was just, I don't know, like a princess or a queen. She was too good to just shove food in her face. But anyway, so character creation, back on the point. I don't have ADHD at all. But anyway, getting back to the point, character creation is something I do enjoy doing. I think, like many authors, I start with the main character of the book, and usually that, for me, that's going to be a woman. So I'm like, and usually before then, I've already decided location. So if I'm setting it let's say, okay, the last book I just finished writing takes place in Paris, or near Paris, in Versailles, underneath Versailles, in a secret prison that I made up. But takes, in a secret prison that I made up. And so I'm like, well, okay, that's a fun location. So what kind of woman would be, prison? And I had already come up with the situation where it was going to be this woman who was forced into a marriage that, a really bad marriage with the Alpha of Paris, because it's paranormal and I can do that. And so I was like, okay, well, what kind of woman? And then why would she live there for several years and then immediately need to escape? And so I made it that that she had a sister that was also going to be, brought into the Alpha Pack. And she knew that couldn't happen because, she wanted better for her sister, So she couldn't break out on her own, but she could break out, for her sister, to protect her sister. And that kind of, got me into the character's head a little bit, and that was kind of where that started. But when I was first starting out, I was writing a book set in Western Ireland, And it was a paranormal cozy mystery. And I was like, okay. I knew it was going to be a woman because I want, like I said, I like writing women POVs. And so I was like, okay, well, and I think, like I said in videos before, I like when books are like a person moving to a new place. So we get to like discover the place with the character. Hold on. So we get to discover the place with the character. And so I was like, well, okay, why would this, where would this person be from? And I picked America because I'm American, and it just kind of, people write what you know. So I wrote what I knew. An American going to Ireland and living in Ireland, and experiencing that. So, and that way, I could like highlight like something an Irish person wouldn't faze them, like something an Irish person wouldn't faze them, like Guinness. Like, I'm not saying there's not Guinness in America. Guinness is my favorite, one of my favorite alcoholic drinks. I love Guinness. But it's like, the people, my friends that I made in Ireland, it was just like, okay, it's a drink. They had their certain bars or whatever. But to me, it was just like, well, this is actual Irish Guinness from Ireland, and I'm in Ireland. So it was like a bigger deal to me. It's like when, I lived in Seattle, or I was born in Seattle. I lived in Seattle for a little bit. And it was, the Space Needle. Like, the Space Needle is something, pretty cool that you drive by a lot, to get to where you need to go. But a Space Needle, it was like, and, school trips, around the Space Needle. But it was something that you really had. It was something more that you really had, like, you took your friends or family that visited you, more than, So I wanted it to be able to, like, amp up the Irish aspects, I guess. So then I was like, okay, what's her personality going to be? What? So names are more of a last minute thing for me to figure out. So it was like personality. And also, I really like, those paranormal cozy mysteries where they have like animals, they're witches familiars. And then the witches familiars, I even like when they can talk. So I like the talking animal aspects about it. So I was like, okay, so what animal is going to be, her familiar? So I was like, well, it's going to be a black cat. Am I original in that point? No, but I also love black cats. When I see cats and they're just like, just shadows, and then they open their eyes and they're so cute. And then I want to pet them. And sometimes they don't want to be pet, so I can't, which is really sad. But, not every cat wants to be pet. But yeah, so I named, and then I was like, well, Simon. Simon is a good name for a cat. So then I had, my main character, Victoria, and her cat, Simon. And then I was like, okay, so that's like the central, and she's moving there because this is like what witches do when they get a certain age to learn more magic kind of thing. So they go across, they go to Europe, or, they go somewhere else to a different country and learn from a cousin, far away. So it's kind of like I don't know if there's a term for it, not like Roomspringer, that's an Amish thing, but like something like that sort of thing, they go to different countries. So then I was like, okay, well, what do other characters do there need to be? And I was like, well, I really like those stories that have, those cozy mystery paranormal stories that have like an underlying romance, kind of thing. Because I really like, B plots that are romances. So I was like, okay, so what guy? I need to come up with like an Irish guy. So I did. So for her love interest, I was like, okay, what are, leading man asking like hot Irish guy aspects? And I was like, well, I want him to be like a handyman, you know, like someone in their Coven Village area that, you know, you can call and he'll fix anything. And I was like, yeah, because I think that's how I cannot fix things personally. With a hammer or anything, it's just not something I ever learned. So when things break, I usually end up buying new ones. But so I think, you know, having a partner who would be able to fix things is incredibly hot. Like, I'll cook and, you know, like I'll cook and, you know, come up with cool places to like go and like, I don't know, but if something breaks, unfortunately, that is not me. So I was like, yes, this guy will be a handyman. He will, you know, he'll be able to fix anything. He'll be able to build things. That's hot. So, and, you know, he's Irish. I gave him an Irish accent. I based him vaguely off of an Irish actor. And I say vaguely because I don't want to get in trouble by being like, oh, you know, in any way or form. But specifically, I don't know if you've ever seen the TV show Merlin. The actor who plays Merlin is his name is Colin Morgan, I'm pretty sure. But then Colin Morgan did a movie where he had like curly longer hair, like not long hair, but like curly longer hair. And he was like buff and everything. And I was like, okay, I mean, he's like nice looking as like Merlin in Merlin. But when he was in that other movie, and I can't remember the name of it right now, but he was hot. So I was like, I'll vaguely base my Irish guy off of, you know, this other Irish actor because he was hot. So that's kind of how I picked the leading man. So then I was like, okay, well, she needs friends. So, and it's something I kind of feel, it's not like I don't like the books where, you know, it's just one girl surrounded by all the guys and it's like a pick-me situation. I'm not trying to disparage any authors or any books or anything. I just think, you know, women should have, you know, male friendships, male relationships, but they should also have female friendships and relationships. You know, best friends, kind of, I don't know, you know, I just feel like I like those books. So I was like, okay. So then I came up with these two sisters, Kira and Siobhan, and they're also Irish because I said it in Ireland. So Kira and Siobhan, and I made them both witches because it's kind of like a secret only like location how I did it. So it's a town of witches, of magical people, of like shapeshifters in Ireland, away from like, you know, the human situation. So I came up with the two sisters, and then I had them have familiars. And yeah, Kira's familiar is a black rat named Onyx, which I think is a wonderful name. There's actually, at the zoo near here, where I am right now, near here, like an hour away, but there is a wolf named Onyx, and I actually went to the zoo after. I was like, and it's of like this black wolf or anything, and I was like, yeah, see, like, you have like a pitch black rat or a wolf or whatever, you know, like, Onyx is a cool name. And then Siobhan had a dog familiar named Nutmeg, because I like when dogs are named, you know, like food and stuff, even though I named my dog Charlie Brown when I was like 12. But yeah, so those were the central kind of, you know, characters, like the group of four, like the main people, and her friends. And then I was like, well, so the main love interest in that book, he lives with his grandmother, and she she runs the local like greenhouse. So the main character, Victoria, works there, and I thought that was really cool. And I made the grandma just like a I made the grandma like a really cool kind of grandma, like a little bit after my grandma that I grew up with, because just takes no BS, takes no prisoners, kind of just does her own thing. Because I love that. I love when there's like like older characters and they just don't care. I love that in people too. When I think you get a certain age and you stop giving a single care. So yes, that's how that book kind of started. And then after that I had the central kind of, characters. And I came up with like, oh, well, it was a murder mystery. So it's like, who dies and who's the murderer, and everybody else. But that's kind of how I came up with the books for that cozy mystery series. And right now I'm working on a reverse harem situation, a reverse harem romance, paranormal romance, because I have to have the paranormal. If I'm writing it, there's probably going to be paranormal magic. So I'm setting it in Prague, in the Czech Republic, because that's a place I have loved to go in the past. So the characters there, I was like, well, why she moved to Prague? And I was like, well, why not just start out and give her trauma? Because I love those books where it's like, actually recently I was reading, on one of my author Facebook groups, I was reading, this woman's post, and she said she loves to write, or she loves to read, she called it traumances, like trauma romance, where both characters are, or all the main characters in the romance are like messed up because of their background. And I'm like, I love that term. I love books like that. I think Sarah J. Maas does that like really, really well. Like her Aelin character, her Rowan character, Feyre, Nesta, Elaine, Reese, real Cassie, like all the best characters, have significant trauma in their backgrounds, and it makes it kind of, that makes the romance, I think, a little bit more powerful, because, they're helping each other. They're not just falling in love, but they're helping each other, move past their past, right? And like move forward and like comfort each other. And I really love that in books. So I'm like, okay, what's her trauma going to be? Which is a fun part of character creation. Funner than I expected, because I don't know. I'm that kind of an author. I like to put my characters through through bad things happening. But so I was like, what's her trauma going to be? And I'm like, what would be really messed up? And so unfortunately, and I don't think this is really a spoiler because it's like talked about in the first like page and in the blurb, or is going to be, because it's not out yet, because I'm just still writing it. But she's an orphan situation. She was found as a baby kind of on the steps of an orphanage in Prague, but she was adopted in America. But her American parents died when she was really young, kind of situation. And then she got married to this dude. It was a very bad situation. He was very, abusive, very bad kind of situation. And her son ends up dying. And she realizes, like, she can't be there anymore. She can't be in this relationships anymore. She can't be in the state. She can't even be in America. She needs to go, back to Prague, where, where she was born. And, so she goes back to Prague, and that's kind of like her traumatic backstory. And so I was like, well, okay, I think that's, a wonderful... I feel bad saying, like, I really like her backstory, because it is, I made it purposely traumatic. I lost my mom when I was, like, a very small kid, and, I moved in with my grandma to raise me, but all this time, when I grow up, I've been thinking, my grandma also lost her daughter. When my mom died, her daughter died, the same person. But like, and how messed up that, like, it was messed up for me, but it was also messed up for my grandma, seeing her daughter, die. And so I think that's why I did it in this, why I'm writing it in this book, because it's just, something I don't think anyone should ever go through, but people do go through. So, yeah. So, I wanted to give her love interests, because it's a reverse harem. There's multiple love interests. So, there's going to be multiple guys running around with significant traumas. So, and I don't know how much I want to get into their traumatic backstories. So, you'll have to read the book when it's out. I'm not trying to be like clickbait here, but and especially since I'm kind of still writing the beginning of the book right now, so I haven't exactly figured out everybody's special little trauma backstories, but yeah. But yeah, so that is kind of where I start with character creation. I am a plotter more than a discovery writer, I think. So I really like knowing where things are going, knowing the characters before I start writing, having a nice little like significant outline. That's what I kind of learned in college when I was taking those writing classes, and I did like it. Some people say, oh, they made me write outlines, and then I hated it and I became a discovery writer. I'm like, no, I liked it. So I think I'm fortunate in that way that I did like what my teachers were teaching me. So I do like to have the characters like kind of down solid before I start writing. So yeah, that is character creation with me, Trisha, one of my author talks. If you like this video, please comment, or if you have any questions, please comment, and remember to subscribe so you can see my next video that goes out, or just make me happy, because I like I like seeing the likes and the subscribes. So thank you.